up in these GOATS compositions.
And Gods looked, like you said, great on that Winston. Looked like he'd been playing it for years. Was pretty, was kind of godlike on it. Gladiators Legion is going to be on the green side, and then NRG will be represented by those white colors. And let's go ahead and see these team comps. And one thing that is for sure, we are going to be seeing a lot of these characters throughout a lot of today, but it's going to be those micro plays that matter.
We saw quite a bit of that yesterday, even in those mirror GOATS compositions. A lot of the team fight was decided off the backs of those small, minute moments, how you use those cooldowns. Gods on the Diva for now, as we might expect here on Control Center. Another thing about this map in particular, Boop, whoever caps this point first is much more likely to win the round.
Man, Stan being super aggressive there, and it's going to pay off, taking down Panker and the other team's Reinhardt. That is probably the most important kill outside of those supports. Gladiators Legion already down 3 people. This is an easy take for NRG Esports, who just went through the main way.
Yeah, they just walked forward until Gladiators Legion, the Legion crumbling under that pressure. You really need that main tank to stay alive throughout the duration of the fight. You're losing so much shielding just by the fact that he's no longer on the field. You got to dip dodge a lot of the incoming damage.
And so the particle barriers are on those Reinhardts. There's going to be no protection coming from the Zaryas, who are getting close to those Graviton Surges. Energy is going to be much closer. Earthshatter now going to knock 3 down onto the ground, and Energy looking strong.
Yeah, that was a beautiful hold right there. They did expend a couple of ultimates for that fight win. It's well worth it, as Kevster will have that Graviton Surge next. This is such a difficult choke to break through, Boop. It's so small, and it's very telegraphed where Gladiators are going to be coming through. They may be able to use that speed boost to try and blast their way through, but without a big opening ultimate of their own, it's going to be a little hard to take that space. NRG, though, they don't want to push their luck. They're going to take that fight on the objective.
Gladiators Legion very close to those opening ultimates. Pinker will have that Earthshatter. Dalton will have that Graviton Surge, and they're already on the point trying to take it. Specs is on the side trying to push in some micro missile damage, but will it be enough? He already has Self-Destruct, so he can be a little aggressive. Earthshatter going to knock 2 down. Kevster is going to get saved by that sound barrier, and then Transcendence will be popped from Gladiators Legion, followed by the Graviton Surge. Is this going to be a bigger bang combo? It looks like Rolf will be taken down from it, and Energy are going to continue staying on top of this fight. That one was prolonged, though.
Yeah, prolonged and heavy investments from NRG. They needed to win that fight in order to make all of their ultimates worth it, and fortunately for them, it did work out. Panker went down like a ripe melon, and then that self-destruct just cut through the rest of the Gladiators members still on that point. However, now the ultimate economy has swung to the way of Gladiators Legion. They're going to have a considerable ultimate bank against NRG, who only have Byram's Trance.
But the Trance is exactly what you need against that Graviton Surge. Gladiators Legion are going to launch their first ultimate, which is a Graviton Surge, and it does get eaten. The Fire Strike ripping through Gladiators Legion as well. Transcendence to keep Energy alive, and the health bars for Gladiators Legion are melting away. It's like they couldn't even try to contest this point in this first round.
Very, very difficult, and NRG now going to be that statistic, cap that point first, and they will take this round 100-0.
That was some good play from NRG Esports, and good is a little bit of an understatement. They were able to take control of that tempo and really push Gladiators Legion outside of their comfort zone.
Yeah, here I believe this is where Panker went down before he could get that Earthshatter. No, this is a separate play. This was kind of an example of the way that NRG reacted to those big ultimates being thrown in their face. You always have to be expecting one more. After that shatter, maybe it's going to be a grab. So NRG always ready with those tools saved in their back pocket. They chose not to use any of those supportive ultimates aggressively to engage those fights. And, you know, as the defenders on the point, they had that luxury. Now, as we open on Gardens, going to be a fresh start for both sides. Panker and Stan showing that Winston. So a little bit of the same mind here. Use that mobility to engage the point, and even more importantly, throw some Primal Rage Disruption in. Maybe knock some fools into the pond.
Panker is a pretty good Winston. I'm pretty sure he's known for that. Yeah, he's good at that character. And Stan 1, though, is going to get the first blood on this fight. NRG Esports are going to continue their momentum here on Lijiang Tower. Going to take this point once it opens.
Yeah, that was a really painful early loss of Rolf. Not only does that mean that Gladiators likely had no chance of capping that point without the long-distance healing of their Zen, but it means that Byram is going to be so much ahead of Rolf in terms of that Transcendence as well. We saw how important that ultimate is to face all kinds of big tank CC ultimates coming your way, and NRG going to likely be able to maintain their hold on the point even through this next fight.
But NRG has taken that first take. That meant 15% closer to that overall victory for this map. Kepster's going to continue with that momentum. Gladiators Legion unable to make anything happen so far on any of their engagements. NRG Esports seems to know what they're doing. They've read their game plan, or they're in their heads.
Yeah, and the game plan seems to be Panker dives in deep away from the rest of the team, allows NRG to kill him, and then, you know, the point, everything else follows thereafter. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication. Panker certainly dove very far in that last push, but Gladiators either unwilling or, you know, not quite ready to follow him up. So now at 40% to NRG. This is going to be Gladiators one of their best shots to try and cap this point and not put themselves in a dangerous overtime position.
But they're walking into stand one in a Primal Rage. Panker will have his own, so the fisticuffs will be thrown. That'll be some good unboxing we're going to see here in just a second. Let's see if the environmental kills will come into play. Transcendence from Gladiators Legion are going to go down in stand one because of that shield bash will be going down as well. So this is Gladiators Legion, as you said, best chance to get back onto this point. It's a 6v5 for them. The Primal Rage was popped for a Panker, and finally they're making things happen. But that is a great way to take some momentum away from Gladiators Legion. Everything is even on the point now. It's a 4v4 with Byron's Transcendence. NRG Esports are actually going to be stronger here just for a little while longer. Hello on Halo using that wall to make sure he doesn't get taken down by that self-destruct. Pooks is going to be brought down by Byram, who's volleying his head off right now, making sure that NRG keeps this point. Gladiators Legion had a two-man advantage, but they potentially might lose the map right now.
Yeah, it is looking tough for Gladiators to re-engage right here. Dalton's Graviton Surge is going to be their last chance to recapture this point, or actually capture it at all. NRG looking extremely comfortable. They still have that sound barrier on tap.
Pooks might have gotten a little ahead of himself, getting onto the point a little too early. The Graviton Surge has been dropped. Sandwood still has that Primal Rage, but it doesn't matter. NRG Esports is going to get the first 2 kills. Things are made a little bit more interesting by far, taking down Byron, but that's going to be the most interesting part of this fight for Gladiators Legion. NRG Esports will be winning this overall, and they're going to take Lijiang and go up 1-0.
This is certainly a potential unexpected result from NRG. There was a Twitter poll, I believe, and you know, a lot of people believe that Gladiators Legion had the advantage coming up into this series. Of course, though, this is only the first map, but a really good indicator. Again, control is, you know, there's not really any map environment that you have to be working around. It's just pure Overwatch, finding those kills. I want to point out Panker in Gladiator Legion's most successful push there on Gardens. You saw him dive in deep once again, but this time around he had Primal Rage. However, the even, you know, more heads up play was the counter dive, the reaction from NRG. They were able to take some of that momentum, throw it back in Gladiators Legion's face, even though they popped that Transcendence later and did lose a couple of members before the fight finished. It still ended up going their way, as you have to remember they were in control of this point the entire time.
Yeah, NRG Esports, hello, and Halo sound barrier there at the very end was super fancy, getting all the right angles to make sure the rest of his team stayed alive, because if they were able to confirm any kills with their Graviton Surge, we might still be playing Lijiang Tower right now.
Exactly.
But they do take it 100-0, which is quite dominant on both rounds of that map.
Yeah, it just felt like Gladiators Legion tried the same type of engagement over and over, and it didn't quite work out every time NRG was ready to meet them.
But the thing about NRG Esports, too, the last time they 4-0'd a team, this kind of fast-paced tempo, they took the fights and they took their advantage and just took it. It's like ripping the rug out from underneath their feet. Gladiators Legion didn't have an opportunity to even touch this point throughout the whole round.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were certainly on it, but they weren't able to go for that clean team wipe. You have to remember that it's not, if you don't have control of the point, it's not just about finding those staggered kills or those early picks. It needs to convert into a point capture whereby, you know, you wipe all of the enemy bodies off of the point so that you can take it and start finally accruing some percentage for yourself. Otherwise, you're simply playing into the enemy's hand. They're going to be getting all of that point percentage while you're still struggling to find those kills.
Well, as you're trying to find anything right now, now would be a really great time, as we're going to take a quick break before we come back with map 2. Welcome back, everybody. We are in the midst of a good series, mostly for one team right now. NRG Esports steamrolling Gladiators Legion in that first map. I don't believe Gladiators Legion got a single percentage on Lijiang Tower.
No, it was 2 big goose eggs to 100% going the way of NRG. So this is, a good pause for Gladiators Legion to kind of take stock. This is the thing. They haven't been running anything crazy on Lijiang Tower. It's just a little bit more of the same, some of that GOATS composition, which we know that they are comfortable and very good and proficient at running. So what has been the difference maker? Maybe it's those engagements, maybe it's the main tank trying to do a little bit too much in some of those scenarios. So this will be a good place for, Gladiators Legion, maybe just to take a little bit of breath, take stock, right? As we move into hybrid.
Yep.
So there is that point attack, but the rest of the map, all the streets phase, pushing that payload, it, can favor a different playstyle.
Yep, they just have to take their power posture. Right? Do you want to exhibit power posture
ready?
real quick? Yeah, ready?
Deep
3,
breaths
2, 1. There it is. This is power posture. Yeah, if you do this, you just feel confident in yourself, right?
Oh,
do
no.
it in the mirror. Do it all the time.
I can feel every single blood cell. Right
just
now.
getting more and more confident, right?
That's how aware.
Yeah, so if you want to do that at home, it actually works. There's science behind it, but anything will help Gladiators Legion at this point in time is, I think, the moral of the story, because things just have to get better for them. Remember, they're tied on map win-loss differential, but no longer. NRG Esports now has a +1 on them, and again, you don't want another team to be in control of your destiny when it comes to the playoff hunt.
Exactly. You can write the final chapters of your own song of fire and ice, we may say. But Gladiators Legion, they're going to be taking the attack first this time on Nimbani. NRG, not showing anything crazy, just with stand 1 on that Winston. A really good choice here on Nimbani, where the high ground on point A, crucial for your team to maintain control of. So good look from NRG on the defense. Gladiators Legion, I'm guessing there's going to be a couple of swaps once the scouting is done here. Far just using that Widow's scope, check out, see if NRG are doing anything crazy. And we do have the swap back onto the slightly more traditional, actually, well, maybe this will become tradition for Gladiators Legion. It is back to that double main tank look with Panker and Gods on the Rhine and Winston.
Yeah, they got some heavy scouting done during that opening. When the gates open, Gladiators Legion now knows what they're going. They're going to end up on a double tank Winston Reinhardt, GOATS right there. And so this gives them an opportunity to be a little bit more immobile with Gods jumping into the back line. But the bad part about this is NRG will be able to launch any grab they want without worrying about the defense matrix eating it up. But now they're going to go ahead and drop down. Gladiators Legion are going to try to contest this point right here. NRG Esports knows that it's coming. Smex was already on the back line, but it's going to go ahead and try to push Gods out of this fight. Was very, very close to taking them down in at the end. Gladiators Legion, though, have taken up shop on this point. They definitely have a better position here to take this from Gladiators Legion, particularly now that Hello, I'm Halo is down.
Yeah, that's going to be an early loss of Lucio. Kevster actually falling right afterwards to his counterpart Dalton, and Gladiators Legion doing a very smart move, just immediately getting on that point, pressuring the objective. NRG did, as many defenses do, seed that space early and then look for the opportunity to re-engage. But Gladiators Legion, they held very strong. You have to remember they have now, 3 shields between the 6 of them, so very difficult for NRG to break back in, and when they tried, they lost one of their supports so early on, they had to give up that objective.
I do think that Primal Rage is one of the best ways to break that up, as when you throw those fists, everyone goes flying. That's a good time to isolate someone and take them down. But when you're walking into 6 ultimates, it's going to be much harder. NRG actually might have those 6 as well. Hello, and Halo does need to catch it before the beginning of this fight.
Yeah, Sound Barrier is still a little bit of ways for NRG, but more important is going to be their Winston. Stan does pop that Primal Rage, just keeping himself alive. Gladiators ready, willing to pop some of those that Transcendence and some of those support ultimates to keep everybody alive. Did layer those, though.
Yeah, the layering of ultimates, that's not a lot of value for them, but hey, you want to make sure that you win at this fight. Gladiators Legion do have 5 members versus NRG Esports is 4. Desire did lose that rally, or going to die before the rally goes off. Dalton is going to get that D-Mech, and that's going to spell the end of this fight.
Yeah, the crucial D-Mech right there. Gladiators Legion, you're right. It's not... Sometimes that what if of maybe if I just pop that sound barrier with the trans, we could have made it through, guys. But there's no hypotheticals for Gladiators Legion. They know that they have one more fight before they're able to put this car into point B. NRG going to be coming in with that rally armor from Zyre, but little else on the table. Panker ready with that Earthshatter. Going to be the biggest danger on the side of Gladiators.
Yeah, Gods is on the high ground, scouting out exactly who is there, and he's going to go down because of Desire with that shield bash, going to finish off the kill. Earthshatter going to knock a lot of energy on their backs, but this thing is pretty even right now. Smex is going to get D-maxed, but they still have more members. NRG does. Let's see if they're going to be able to take advantage of this. Stand 1 does, and gets Panker. Once that Reinhardt is down, the rest of the team will see.
Yeah, it was looking a little bit dicey for NRG right there, but a crucial kill onto Panker finally took the wind out of Gladiators' sails. Once again, Reinhardt, he's going to be kind of your mascot for the entire death ball moving forward. Gods, of course, also went down very early in that fight, a little unfortunate, but here and now looking to apply some of that Tesla cannon, be a little sneaky.
Sneaky in indeed, but he is spotted out by his Smex. He's going to go ahead and jump right into the middle, get the bubble up to protect the team, and get the Discord orb off. Far, though, is going to get the first kill against Stand 1, so no big shield for NRG Esports. Gladiators Legion could definitely take this point, especially now that Kevster is going back to spawn.
Yeah, a great opportunity from Panker right there. He saw it, he laid down that Earthshatter just to clean up the rest of the fight, make sure that the time bank is as favorable for Gladiators as possible right there. It was actually dueling Graviton Surges, but it was Gladiators winning out that fight. So now Dalton not only going to be able to maintain that Zarya charge, but he's already nearly 70% up to his next Graviton Surge. He could clean up this entire fight for point B.
Gods is the only one that has that ultimate. There is a little bit while for Gladiators Legion to get a couple more. The support ultimate Hooks will have that sound barrier eventually. NRG Esports will have an Earthshatter here soon as Stand 1's going to reposition into the backline and then put up that shield and try to take some space. Earthshatter now going to get Rolf on the ground. Far will be the first to fall in this fight, but NRG Esports finally on point 3 get another defense.
Yeah, they're finally able to put their feet down and stand their ground. Here are NRG and Gladiators Legion. They did, invest a little bit into that fight. Gods popped a very early Primal Rage, trying to sow a little bit of disruption, maybe open up an opportunity for Gladiators to make their way through, but NRG seemed quite ready, Stand with a great Earthshatter to seal the deal for that defense. But now, NRG, they gotta be ready with those support ultimates because Dalton is gonna be looking for that juicy Graviton Surge.
And Panker's gonna be looking for that fatty shatty as well. Panker has that Earthshatter. Gladiators Legion have both support ultimates as well, so everyone is well equipped to take the brunt of these ultimates. So it's gonna be those micro plays, those cooldowns in at the end. Nothing from that Earthshatter. Sound barrier has been launched for NRG Esports, dropping the B. Gladiators Legion still have both of their support ultimates, and since they're gonna be using them second, they're gonna be at a huge advantage for the rest of this fight. Gladiators Legion only needing Rolf's Transcendence to continue winning this fight.
Yeah, those big tank ultimates just weren't online in time for NRG, so Gladiator is going to be unleashing the Fury first. There is one last pesky Lucio going to be rooted out of his little hiding caves over there, and the best news for Gladiators is they used the Graviton Surge in that last fight. Panker's going to have his Earthshatter for this one. However, they do have to know that NRG have had plenty of time to build up their own banks.
All right, so it is a 2-minute warning. A rally has gone down for NRG Esports, so there is damage mitigation on them. Smex uses the self-destruct, nothing to it. Stand 1 has the last ultimate for NRG Esports, and that is that Earthshatter. Panker, though, going down from Gladiators Legion. This means that they're not going to have any beef trying to get on this payload. That's why you're seeing them run away.
Yeah, a great zoning D.Va self-destruct. You don't see those come up with kills a lot of the times, but it did force Panker out of position. NRG were able to isolate him, take him down away from the rest of his team. Gods actually popped the Primal Rage to try and hold NRG up in spawn, separate the backline a little bit, and an early kill onto Desire.
Yeah, Desire was in a weird position, having to shield bash back into the team, and he got taken low, and Dalton figured it out. Desire is down because of that. That could be the end of NRG Esports' defense here on Numbani, but hey, with that kill onto Gods, it is a 5v4 right now, and the defense does have spawn advantage. Transcendence was pushed out from Rolf, but they haven't been able to make this payload move. The Graviton Surge now is gonna get Desire and Kevster. Both will follow and them back to spawn. Gladiators Legion looking really, really good up until right now, as the kills are now coming for NRG Esports. Those defensive spawns really coming in handy.
Yeah, it was actually Byram you see on the kill feed finishing off all of those kills. He was actually behind the entire Gladiators Legion team. Nobody saw that little Zenyatta hiding back there away from the Graviton Surge, ready to throw out those volleys when his team most needed him, when Gladiators Legion were already down to their last rope, their last HP bars in that long, dragged out fight. So that Zenyatta really coming through handy, a great play positionally from Byram there. But now Gladiators coming back through, they're gonna have more tools. It was a long fight, and Panker has earned yet another shatter.
Smex does have a self-destruct, but Gladiators Legion might only have that shatter and that rally for this fight. They only have 14 seconds to get the other one. Panker needs to have a huge Earth Shatter if this is going to work. Self-destruct not going to get anything. Shield Dash was just a little late. Izire is going to go down. Was a little aggressive. Really wanted that Shield Dash and that self-destruct kill. That would have locked things up for NRG, but that's not the case right now. Earth Shatter not going to get anything, so no value from that. Only ultimate, but Rolf very close to that Transcendence. Izire is going to have to use that rally once he does come back. Graviton Surge keeping the rest of Gladiators Legion on the payload, but they're moving it right now. Dalton getting the DMEC onto Smex. No tanks for NRG Esports, just 3 remaining, but that was enough on the last fight. The Gladiators Legion are going to clean this thing up in overtime and take all 3 points, but NRG made it very interesting there in the end.
Oh, certainly a very back and forth defense and push from between NRG and Gladiators Legion right there towards the 3rd point. Just some really great play. Self-destruct here, I do believe, yes, that's right, didn't catch anything, but everybody else tried to capitalize on it, and Zaire, you see, caught out Byron's Transcendence just a little bit too late to save that Brigitte. So Gladiators Legion, one thing that has been, distinguishing them so far here on Nimbani, I would say, is that bit Brigitte play. Far able to save Panker's life with a very clutch heal pack earlier on in this long and drawn out brawl, making a huge difference. I mean, as a Brigitte, you have a ton of that inspired healing, but the burst healing comes in the form of that heal pack, and you only have one every several seconds, so it's a very precious resource. You can it's almost like on a bio-nade. You think you have the enemy Reinhardt down, and suddenly the Brigitte throws the heal pack on and saves his life. That happened quite often in that very last fight, so all of Gladiators Legion really very cognizant of who's requiring those resources the most.
Well, and I think a good barometer of who is winning is how your Brigittas are performing. If the Brigitte is dying first, we saw it a lot yesterday, the first Brigitte to fall, just like the Reinhardt, the rest of the team will. Goats is so dependent on having those 6 members. When you lose a part of that chain or one of those cogs in that machine, no matter how small it is, it's going to struggle to move on. Yeah,
it's not going to be nearly as smooth of going, but NRG have their own shot here. They know they also need to finish out Nimbani, and given how stalwart their defense was around that 3rd point, things could look pretty good for them on the attack as well. A quick scouting arrow from Hello Halo, and then back to the Lucio to speed his team into the fray.
Gladiators Legion now on the defense, got all 3 points, but in overtime. NRG Esports does what they gotta do, but like we always say, but the first thing they have to do is take point A, which on Nimbani, again, crazy things can happen. NRG Esports really wanting to go up 2-0 here because this is a very important game in terms of playoff and seeding. They're gonna see each other here in the hallway. First, Izire will get the first kill onto Rolf, but the boom is gonna knock all of Gladiators Legion back onto the low ground. Hello, Halo is gonna take advantage of Dalton's mispositioning. They didn't know exactly what to do once they hit the objective.
Yeah, Gladiators Legion trying to hold up really aggressively, but unfortunately that just meant that Stan's Tesla cannon, all of that cleave was able to reach through those shields, hit the entire back line, and that's going to be a point in the very first push.
I'm laughing because everyone has fallen down the stairs like Panker's body just did right there. When your feet just like fall out from under you and you just slide down. That's what feels bad, man. Yeah, exactly. Gladiators Legion on the defense, losing that first point. There's 5 minutes and 26 seconds for NRG to take point 2.
Yeah, and tons of ultimates as well. Key here is going to be Byron's Transcendence. You see both of the Brigittas, but Gladiators Legion, they know they're working against the clock. They want to buy as much time as possible, so it's going to be an aggressive spawn hold.
Stand 1 using the Primal Rage behind the team, trying to knock some people into his allies, take advantage of them. That's not going to be happening for him, but the kills will be falling for NRG Esports. The DMEC is going to take that tank away and that defense matrix, which is so important for Gladiators Legion right now. NRG Esports are going to continue on this payload with a good fight win.
Yeah, that was a good, clean fight coming the way of NRG Stan, making a big difference with that Primal Rage. Unfortunately, that's not damage that you're ever going to be able to matrix. The bubble will run out, and even though Rolf plopped that Transcendence, Stan able to use those big, muscly forearms, knock all of that healing away from the rest of the team, take down some of those members of Gladiators Legion individually.
NRG Esports will have both support ultimates, so they're going to be well prepared for whatever Gladiators Legion throws at them, as Rolf still not that Transcendence. Rally will be thrown out from Izire, so damage mitigation for all of NRG Esports. The self-destruct is going to go into the back line. Oh, the shield wasn't there. The Earth Shatter is, though, for Gladiators Legion, as 4 members will be falling on the ground. Hello, I'm Halo, having to use that sound barrier to keep the rest of NRG Esports alive. Self-destruct now from Gods. He's had some big ones in the past. He's going to have one in the present. 3 kills for him.
Oh, God's coming up with that 3K once again. That is the magic number for this D.Va player. What a beautiful combo between him and Dalton. Set up and finish. And now a stagger onto Byram as well, the cherry on top. That's going to be at least 10 more seconds bought off the clock, and after a heavy investment from NRG.
Yeah, the only close ultimate they have is the Graviton Surge. They don't have anything to confirm any kills, so possibly Kevster will be holding on to that until Stand 1 gets an Earthshatter, or Smex does get that self-destruct, or their hand will be forced. Gladiators Legion also very far away from their ultimates. Rolf is the only one with the Transcendence, but like I said yesterday, Rolf has that check mark. On the other side, you really want to see if the grab is there, and it is. Rolf will be waiting for Kevster's grab to use that Transcendence. That's the counter to that ultimate as these two teams are skirmishing right here. Rolf, though, actually going to use the Transcendence in an offensive way. Panker will be getting taken down very, very low. Are they going to be able to get that kill? Kevster's not going to need the Graviton Surge. Gladiators Legion doesn't have anything to counter it, so this is all going to be kills for NRG if they're able to focus.
Great usage of the Earth Shatter from Stand 1, even if he wasn't actually able to lay any of Gladiators down on the ground. Potentially, he always has that ability to spook the enemy Zen into popping that trance early, and which did happen right there, and Kevster able to finish things off with a beautiful Graviton Surge. And now, even though the grab is up for the side of Gladiators on the defense, NRG able to meet them with plenty more of their own ultimate Transcendence online. You got the rally. You also have the zoning ability of Smex's D.Va Bomb.
Speaking of the rally, Zyre is going to use it. Byram not getting that armor though, but he does have the Transcendence. Self-destruct getting into the backline. Graviton Surge is there. Self-destruct hasn't been a landing for NRG so far. Zyre will get the D-Mech onto a God. Now they're going to keep the rest of Gladiators Legion alive while NRG Esports is laying on the ground. The pin onto the mech will take him out, and now they're going to try to stagger Smex, hopefully as long as possible, but no, they're going to just send him right back to spawn. Gladiators Legion pick up this defense.
Yeah, that was a good defense right there from Gladiators Legion, playing the game very patiently. The Transcendence not going to be enough to save NRG from that burst damage from Panker's charge, so an excellent positioning right there from the Reinhardt on the side of Gladiators Legion. But you have to remember that there's still plenty of time on the clock, over 3 minutes for NRG.
Self-destruct from Agath has got to be terrifying for them to see. The pin and the particle barriers have all been used. The Specs though will get D-Mech because of that self-destruct. Earthshatter following that Graviton Surge. That's exactly how you want to see a Graviton. And then Shatter after. Stand 1 trying to assert his dominance. The only kill they got was a far, and Byron's going to have to be the one that gets those volleys into those heads. And getting a 2 kills, 3 kills in this fight.
Ooh, Zenyatta's coming through strong once again. Byram, you know, a little bit of a Jonak 2.0 right here, dealing that damage from the backline. Gladiators Legion, you saw Panker got a couple of really good charges, decided to go for it. Once again, didn't quite work out. He was bunny hopping his way back, and it was an open Shatter for Stand 1, and he took it.
So this next fight will be pretty even. NRG Esports having 2 ultimates close to that Graviton Surge. Gladiators Legion has that Graviton Surge. Earthshatter's going to go down to open things off. Far is on the ground and will be focused down. Stand 1 very close to dying, but Byron's going to go ahead and use that Transcendence to keep him alive. This might be all they need to take this point.
Yeah, it looks like it could be all she wrote. Pooks is so close to that sound barrier, but the cart about to slide into that golden box of victory. And indeed, NRG will finish out Mbani with plenty of time left.
So they're going to have a much easier time getting A, because Gladiators Legion aren't going to get an opportunity to try to grab it, as they did finish in overtime. NRG Esports, if they want to avoid a draw, just need 1 tick on point A.
Yeah, it's certainly doable for a team that took point A earlier in their very first push. Gladiators Legion gonna have to dig really deep. How do we want to play this defense? Oh, so far, it's been very tough for them to try and find the correct amount of reaction. When they do win those fights, it's off the back of a big ultimate investment. But you know, even in these long, brawly, drawn out fights, you're not always going to be able to rely on those ults coming through. So how else are you going to be able to defend? It's going to be about that positioning, playing that very patiently, waiting for a misposition from the side of NRG when your whole team pounces.
Well, on the other side, NRG doing a very good job at identifying where those mispositions and those mistakes are coming from Gladiators Legion and just wringing them dry from that mistake. They're actually playing very well as a team. That last replay really shows it. The Transcendence was there to keep Stand 1 alive, and then the sound barrier as well. It wasn't quite layered, but it was there to make sure that they grabbed that last point, which they did.
Yep, and NRG now have set themselves up with a great win condition. 33% one tick, certainly doable within these 2 minutes. Gladiators Legion, they're going to be holding up on that high ground once again. This time around, though, they need to make sure they're not going to be overstaying their welcome, because sometimes that burst, especially from a Zenyatta of Byram's quality, can annihilate one of your team members in a second.
All right, let's see if NRG Esports will choose to come in through this path. The Winston's going to get into the backline and push them all off on to shoot the objective. Rolf somehow still alive. The support was there. The Amp It Up was the healing version, so that's going to keep him alive for this fight. Gladiators Legion take advantage, I think, of some cockiness. They thought Rolf would be going down, but instead Smex will be the first.
I think it might have been the world's worst time to reload for Stand 1. He was trying to laser down that Zenyatta hyper focus there, but Gladiators Legion saw the danger and were able to peel for that back line, you saw Dalton right there lasering down that monkey trying to ward him away. But there will still be at least 2 more pushes here, maybe 1.5 for NRG to try and make something happening. The closest to their ultimate is actually going to be Byram once again on this Zenyatta.
We're at the 1 minute mark, and it looks like Pinker does have that Discord orb. It has been taken off. Far was shield bashed, but they're unable to get that kill. Actually, into the end, Stand 1's going to get Pooks, and then Far. So the support for Gladiators Legion are going to be non-existent. This is looking like a 33.3% for NRG Esports, particularly now that Stand 1 does have that Primal Rage. The only one alive is Pooks. We've all been there with those Lucios, but we're not going to see it here today, as NRG Esports are going to go up 2-0 against Gladiators Legion.
This is highly unexpected, at least from me, Boop. I thought that Gladiators Legion, after their win last week, would be coming into this series refreshed with their game plan down pat. But NRG, it just seems that they're like sharks, right? They're able to sniff who is bleeding in that water, identify who's the weakest member. You saw that Rolf was getting aggressed upon so often, taken away from the rest of the team. And, you know, when you're facing a Winston 1v1 as a Zenyatta, this is not the place that you can really want to be. There's very little you can do yourself. I believe it was this beautiful Goomba Stomp takes down Poops in a single land. Punch finishes off Far, and when you're isolated so far away from the rest of their team, you see right here, even if Rolf had been able to throw that Harmony Orb on you, you're going to be breaking that line of sight and losing that healing very quickly.
Well, and he was just taking advantage of those supports in the back line, using that hop, getting that Goomba Stomp kill, and getting all 3 supports in the end. That's exactly what you want from your Winston.
3 for 3, right?
It's a bargain bin. It's like you're at Costco
exactly.
For supports.
And you reach down and you're like, oh my god, a bundle! Oh, what a deal!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so great Winston play right there from Stand 1. That is the kind of engagement that you want to see, the initiation from your main tank leading the charge, looking for those key little windows. Sometimes they're small, but you can fit a whole gorilla through some of them. It's crazy.
Honestly, you know, NRG Esports looking really good. Some of the best play we've seen from them all contenders long, and if they continue doing this, they're going to be looking good for a lot longer. NRG Esports playing very, very clean. Gladiators Legion had some moments of brilliance. They got wiped on Lijiang Tower, but here on Numbani, after that kind of loss, they actually came back and almost tried. They did finish the maps.
Yeah, but it was some of these unfortunate timings. Just there's sometimes not too much you can do. The Transcendence just doesn't come online fast enough to save your Zarya, the primary damage dealer in that GOATS composition. You lose somebody early on, and you know, it's like we say, it really is a team effort with GOATS. Everybody is vital. It's like, oh, well, if you had to, you know, like give up your Zenyatta or instead of your Zarya, well, you know, you don't want to lose anybody. So each one of those staggered picks is so painful. And that means that you not only are going to be potentially losing that fight, but you're going to have to give up so much distance.
Giving up distance is the name of the game a lot of the time for the defense. But what do you do after you do give up that distance? That's not the end game. You can take that space back. But we're going to take a little bit of a break before we come back for Game 3. As a reminder, NRG Esports is up 2-0 against Gladiators Legion. It is now time for halftime, and we will see you on the other side of it.